Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Board Game Geek Show for April 15th, 2020. Happy Tax Day.
Yeah.
Although, not really Tax Day.
3 months.
Sorry we've been away for so long. I'm sure the Tax Day was just a perfect day to stream, right? Like, because everybody's got no taxes right now. Anyway, I am your host, Scott Alden. And I am joined once again, and we've got some new faces, by my lovely co-hosts, Lincoln Damerst, Derek Porter, Candace Harris, Steph Hodge, and W. Eric Martin. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Hey, Scott.
Awesome. Pretty good.
I'm so lonely.
Yeah, so lonely. So
I think we're all a little bit lonely. Yes. And we're all coming live to you from... What'd you say, Eric?
No cannibalism yet.
No
cannibalism yet. Although I heard something about the meat industry, but we won't get into that. This is all about games at Board Game Geek. Okay, so got some bad news, unfortunately, due to the coronavirus. We have canceled BGG Spring 2020. That was to be happening at the end of May, Memorial Day weekend. It's canceled. However, in its stead, we are announcing BGG Conline. Yes, Yay. You heard that right. BGG Conline. Is that clever?
I love it.
Do you have a crickets background, Derek?
Not prepared. I'm working on it.
So we'll be
yeah.
We need a soundboard where you can do crickets and clapping.
Yeah, with the sad
laughing.
trombone, crickets. Yeah, just keep sending me a list.
We'll just have Candace. We'll sample Candace and we will use her voice. So
she's the most musical of us all.
Yeah. All right. So BGG Conline. The details will be forthcoming. However, we have come up with a couple things that we want to do. We're going to do some live game demos. Streaming out of Lincoln Studio. That if you haven't been watching, we've been streaming a lot on Twitch, not almost daily. Me doing nighttime, Lincoln and Nikki on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Tuesday mornings, Thursday nights. We'll put up the actual times. Or Lincoln, do you know the times off the top of your head?
It's 10:30 Pacific for Tuesdays, 10:30 a.m. Pacific, and that's so we can get European folks involved. And then Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific. And they've generally been going about 4 hours, 5 hours. So you'll get your dose for sure of us in a week. But it's been a lot of fun. We've actually been, I know we're going to roll into what we've been doing, and we've been actually been playing games with the, Nikki and I will be often play 2-player games, and then we'll go into a game that hopefully we can play with the audience. We've done like Welcome to and Welcome to New Las Vegas, and Super Skill Pinball, 4K, Carnival was the one that we did. It's on WizKid's site. It's fantastic. And
so if you've been enjoying that, did you have something else to say?
No. I want to go back to what we're doing
okay.
here.
Yeah, so BGG Online will be streaming out of the studio. People will call in and we'll do game demos. We already have confirmation from the Spiel des Jahres judges that will be calling in, and we'll be doing something with them. We're not 100% sure of the format yet, but I suspect it will have something to do with the games being nominated.
Right, they're still going through with it.
Yeah, they're still going through with it. So the Spiel des Jahres judges Manuel and Christoph.
Yep.
So if you have met them at the previous conventions in spring, you know who they are. They're awesome. So I'm excited for that. It's going to be at least one full day. We're deciding on if it's going to be more than one day, depending on our demand and popularity and lots of things. So look forward to more news about that. It's just a twinkle in our eyes right now. Since everything's so fresh, the world is changing quickly. We're trying to react quickly. So look for that. We'll put something out on the site. In other BGG news, we have just posted up our social distance gaming guide, or board gaming guide. And that's on the front page of BGG right now. Hopefully that will help you get through these times of not being able to play games with your group or your friends. But maybe you can still play through Zoom and Skype and Facebook and all kinds of stuff. Phone, FaceTime. How many things? There's a million ways to call people right now and be on the video, right? So there's a full guide with like at least 30 or 40 games talked about, I think.
Just some quality of life tips on how to make it work.
Yeah. Right.
We didn't go old school with like nuclear war by mail. That was one of those first
people used to play by mail.
Yes, you do diplomacy by mail and nuclear war. There were a couple of ones that went through mail and had all sorts of, guides, things you could subscribe to, and you get a little monthly pamphlet. Or have games you could join. Haven't done that yet.
I remember that. Was it like in the back of Games Magazine where you could advertisements that you could play by mail? Yeah, I remember those. Never did it, but
it seems like Buffalo. A really long game.
Yeah,
well, I know Alan Moon used to play by mail.
Wow.
I remember him telling a story about playing by mail. And I remember one of his opponents saying, Alan was very antsy. He always wanted he always bugged everybody to make their moves quicker, because he couldn't wait. I'm like, that's a cool story. So that's a different era of gaming, but hopefully you'll check out this guide and get some ideas and play some more games with your friends over internet. There's lots of digital game platforms too, which I think we're going to all talk about in a minute about our experiences with what's been going on and how we've been gaming. But before that, we're going to bust into some news. Eric, you want to tell us about Origins?
So, a number of conventions have changed their plans, such as BGG Spring. Origins has delayed from its time of mid-June to early October. So, 3-month change of plans for what Origins is doing. It's still at the same location. And then beyond that, we don't know. Origins has announced they're going to do some kind of online fair, no details about anything else, which is, again, just the situation a lot of times. The UK Games Expo has changed its convention, which was end of May, beginning of June, and is now in the 3rd week of August. Gen Con, which is end of July, beginning of August, is still on. At least they're saying we're just moving ahead because, of course, we're looking 4 months out right now, approximately 3 months out. Still saying it's on. Spiel says it's on. We don't know. So, of course, why cancel before you know you have to cancel? Often because there's all sorts of fallout from doing so. So that's the basics with conventions. Whereas we really don't know what's going on. A large number of publishers have delayed their releases. Asmodee North America and Renegade have just said we're going to put nothing else in the market right now, which makes sense because there are a large number of retail stores closed along with distributors that are closed, so games aren't getting through the pipeline anywhere. A number of game publishers have store incentive programs where you can buy a game through the publisher directly, put in a store's location or contact information, and the publisher will forward some percentage of that sale to that store. So you get to credit the store for the sale, just help them out in some way. And it's kind of interesting seeing publishers talk about that where, yes, we've had a few $1,000s flow through to different stores around the country. It's interesting programs.
Yeah, it's a cool program. Hopefully that'll be enough. Is it enough to keep a store online? Or not online, but in business?
Yeah, it's in limbo. It depends. Yes. Have you applied for the payroll protection program, and do you get an SBA loan? Are there all sorts of possibilities here? And of course, not every locality is closed. Some places are still open or doing in-town delivery or curbside pickup, or they are partnering. There's a store partnering with a pharmacy where they were selling games within the pharmacy. The pharmacy had essentially, given them 2 racks, and they were selling games and puzzles through there. So they were still selling things through a different outlet because, of course, the pharmacy is like, hey, we're one of the few stores open. We can provide people all sorts of things. So,
cool.
Yeah. There's bigger questions down the road, of course, as to when product is going to arrive. There's a number of manufacturers I've spoken to who have either already produced and they have product that now can't be distributed, or there's product produced in China because many of the factories are starting to produce again, but they have no shipping containers because they are either on the West Coast or there was a shortage from the manufacturers of the shipping containers being closed at the same time that factories were closed before. So there's
was it you, Eric, that was telling me that the shipping containers are only going one way? They're not going back?
Yes, that's what it seemed to be initially because we weren't we weren't sending anything to China. We had sort of cut off everything. And so apparently there were all these shipments that were on the way from China to the West Coast, and then containers seemed to be stocked there, and there's a shortage. And my understanding, very roughly, is that when you have goods to ship, you're paying money to reserve space on a ship. And so if you're a bigger business, you can spend more and outspend other people, and you will make sure that your goods get on the water and get to their destination.
That's how it works with air travel too, air shipping, since it's a little more like scarce, right? Like you pay more, you get ahead of the line and go out faster.
Right.
So but that's way more expensive than shipping by sea. So different things.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
Oh, that was mostly it. It's more just,
mostly it.
It's a real question of when things are coming out at which times. And there's a lot of stuff that's available that's just not being shipped. Like I received a copy, I put on the shelf now, Fallout Shelter, the board game, Fantasy Flight title that I guess was one of the last things shipped out as a sample, but that game has not been released in retail yet. So it's done, but it's just not going anywhere. So who knows? Yeah.
Pregnant pause.
Sorry, live show. I'm getting the producer. The producer is trying to catch my attention, and I was trying to shush her. But like, we're like, live show.
I was like, I was not.
No, my producer, my producer, aka Michelle, my wife. So anyway, yeah, live radio, everybody. Okay, so let's go into some more fun stuff. Besides cancellations of everything, we're going to talk about how we've been gaming under social distancing, or in quarantine, as it were. Michelle and I have been in quarantine for over a month. I'll start off, by the way. We've been gaming just 2-player games. We've been playing quite a bit of Ticket to Ride, London and New York, which is basically a miniature version or a shrunk-down version of Ticket to Ride. Plays in about 10 minutes. New York's great. You can believe that. Yeah, New York has, and they have different rules. They're not quite different. They're not much different, but they're just like a little bit of what do you call it? Spice.
I haven't tried London yet.
Different. Yeah.
It's the same.
So they have a couple different. Mostly, but they're a little different.
Yeah.
Plus, we love London, so it's always like, oh yeah, remember when we went there? Oh yeah, when are we going to go there again? Don't know. Okay, so we've been doing that. We played the game. Quick and Easy, which is it's quick, but it's not easy. It's super hard, actually. Very difficult.
Name is decisive.
But with 2 players, it's really fun. Yeah, the name is it's a little
deceptive,
misleading. Deceptive. Which is super fun. But I've also started streaming, and obviously not everyone can do that, but I've set up my studio here. You can see the Joker room I've got going on today. And I've been streaming on Twitch at night, and I did Bastion last night, which is...
Last Bastion, yeah.
Right, cool. The Last Bastion, which is a redo of Ghost Stories. So if you really like Ghost Stories, Last Bastion is just as good. It's mostly the same kind of mechanics, mechanicisms. But it's a new theme. It's basically monsters attacking your castle. And there's a multitude of characters. There's a lot more characters than I remember from Ghost Stories. It's streamlined a little bit more. Like I played it really, like I died. How quickly did I die? Like in 10 minutes? It took 10 minutes.
No, it wasn't that quick.
That's about how long I died too.
That's right.
The game is quite challenging as a solo mode. In fact, I don't even know if it's beatable. But I'm going to try again with probably 2 characters this time instead. So what else have I been doing? And we've been doing the streams with Lincoln and Nikki. So I've been quite gaming a lot more than I even normally had been in pre-coronavirus life.
Sure.
Because I only gamed once a week, right? I played my game group. So I've
and a whole bunch of cooking.
Really been enjoying
I've seen a lot of pictures of food.
And I learned how to cook again. That's right, Steph. We would always be. We're a dining out family. But because Michelle work all day, I work all day, and who wants to cook? So we would just go out. But that's not the case anymore, and I've learned how to cook. I've learned how to cook steaks and eggs and all that fun stuff. So
I know your pictures on Facebook make me hungry.
Well, I wish you guys could come over because I would cook everybody Tex-Mex or steak or eggs.
Eggs. I wouldn't mind having eggs. I haven't had eggs in a long time.
Yeah, that indoor grill, man, that looks really nice.
That our new house has an indoor skillet, I guess, or it's flat top.
Yeah.
Which
cooktop.
If you can get the cooktop, it's so great. It makes things so cook quickly and easily. So, but the gaming has been more than ever for me, so that's kind of exciting. Silver lining of the virus cloud. How about you, Lincoln? What have you been doing?
So as Scott says, we've been live streaming Tuesdays and Thursdays and more. We've been doing testing, and because we've actually the software we're using today is what we've been doing. We started using it. We've already have it, but we started using it to actually do Jackbox. We were wanting to integrate Jackbox in, and then having callers like Dave Arnott, who's up in Sausalito with his family, and we had Deborah on for Jackbox one day, and we've had Derek, and it's been great. It's just it is a hurdle that we've had to get over, but if we're going to do this BGG Conline thing, we're going to have to be prepared for it. But we've been playing, generally starting off with a two-player game. We played Ticket Try New York and 100 Tory, and yesterday we did Azul Summer Pavilion to sort of make up for the messed up episode that went live last week and got pulled right down. So if you want to know about that, want to see that game, but know that it's messed up, I can give you links. You guys can get a hold of me. And we've played a bunch of like colorful. We did that yesterday as well, previous day, where we play with the audience. We give everybody the colors that are available, and then we go through and we proceed to screw up immediately, almost on every single one of them. But it's fun, and we did.
We did play Similio with the chat yesterday.
Yes, that
which
was
quite
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won both
that
games, which Derek had said he had played. What you played several times and didn't win, correct?
Yeah, I played 5 times with my family over on my Twitch channel, and we won one of them, but it was the one game where I had the chat be the clue givers, and then I was guessing. So that was the one game we did win.
We also played, as I said, we did Welcome to and Welcome to Las Vegas, to New Las Vegas, and we also did the Easter one just before Easter last week, and that was fun too. I had not played any of the expansion sheets, and the best thing about that is you can play with one person flipping over the cards. So we have a friend Peter that we don't get to see very often, and he wrote us, and so a week ago Sunday we sat down and played, and we had a webcam shooting the cards that we played out, and we just went through the whole thing and played it together. Taught him how to play the game. It was really fun. We actually played both Welcome to and Welcome to New Las Vegas. The great thing for Welcome to is the app is free, and it gives you all of the sheets, and it does all the calculations for you, which, believe me, is pretty much a help. The only things you have to resolve are ones where whoever's in the lead in the first, second, or third. But otherwise, it does all the calculations for you for all of those sheets, and I'm sure they'll probably get the Welcome to New Las Vegas one out eventually at some point. But it's really been fun. So we have been playing games with folks online. Annie and Sebastian we played with online. We played some Jackbox with them. So it's been good. It's hard. And, Nikki and I are used to working at home together and being together. So it's not that weird. It's just the social aspect. Like, we're used to being able to leave. Hey, let's go get something to eat. That doesn't happen. So, and we've had the only venture we've done once every 2 weeks so far, we've been shopping. And I think we're set to maybe not even do that for an extended period of time at this next go. How's everything going with you, Steph?
Oh, it's more games than always. It's just all the games all the time. I'm working really hard to get my 400 unplayed shelf down.
Wow.
I've been playing a lot of unplayed games. It's, my shelf of opportunity. You know how it is.
There's no excuse for Shelf of Shame now.
That's right.
There's no excuse. I am just working that shelf.
I've been hearing about people finishing off all the games unplayed stuff for sure. Yeah.
I know. It's just not me. I've probably played about 50 of them, so that's not bad.
Wow, that's great.
Right. I know. I've been going to town with that, but I've been doing a few different reviews. So I got to play this colorful Zoned Out game. It's a new city builder from Gray Fox. It's very. I got these awesome pieces. I mean, they're really cool. You're basically drafting cards and playing them to the table, and then you get to build up this little like cityscape. It kind of reminds me of Expansity, if you guys heard of or played that, maybe.
I remember that.
So it's kind of like that, but it's more like streamlined and easy to follow. But so Zoned Out was one of the new ones I got to try. But mostly just unplayed stuff. So I got to play the Off der Volts, Aldi, that you gave me from the retreat in January, and that was actually really cool. So it's like in the game, you're like making these pathways, and you're traveling. You're trying to like collect all these points from doing different like traveling and work things that you're doing. So it's a big explore game, and you're putting out all these tiles, and so it's pretty cool.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and I definitely
you'll be able to buy that
one
from the BGG store when it opens back up.
The BGG store is back.
Unfortunately, you can't get it now.
Yeah. And so just I learned Quirky Circuits, and we played like 20 games of that. Like, it's so good. Quirky Circuits.
Nikki
It's
Valens.
totally up my alley.
What makes that so replayable?
It's like the mind, because it's cooperative and it's programming, so you have to be in sync with whatever the other person's playing, because you don't know what they're going to play, and you're playing these cards and then you reveal, and then this little robot thing goes around and tries to pick up the dust bunnies and like, and so it's a cool program. It's probably my favorite programming game that I've ever played. Like I really enjoyed this one. And so it's a storybook. You know how Plaid Hat has their like storybooks. So every level you flip the page and you do new like scenarios and stuff. So that's been a big hit.
Cool.
But I've been playing a lot of online games as well, like Yukata.de, Boitejeu.net, BoardGameArena.com. I mean, all of these sites I've been like frequenting with my friends in the Northeast. And so we've had like different game nights, and it's just been so much fun. So I've had this opportunity to play with friends who I don't normally get to play with, which is great.
Because they're
so
all
quarantine
at home.
has been easy for me.
Yeah. Everybody's free. Everybody's available.
I know. It's like
you can't come up with an excuse. I mean,
No excuse.
well, you probably could come up with something.
Oh, I can.
Yeah. I know.
So I've been getting all the gaming in as I normally do. It's been fun. How about you, Eric?
Michael
Tell
Benjamin
me. I know you have one of the games I got to play too, so I'm curious.
What have I done? Well, I did videos for a couple things. The artichokes, abandon all artichokes. I got Quick's card game as well. Been doing that a little. Been doing the logic puzzle series. Oh my god, that's noisy. That's coming this Sunday. New game that was released, at least in Germany. We got My City. It's a city building legacy game to go with Zoned Out here. Steph's doing her city building game. So this is city building legacy from Rainer Knizia. We've played through the first 3 chapters so far, and it starts very basic. If you have played Fits from Knizia, a Ravensburger title from late 2000s, this is similar in how it starts, where you are placing polyominoes on a field, and you're just trying to initially cover as much area as possible. Don't cover certain things, cover other certain things. You have 3 colors of buildings to start with, but in the first game, the colors don't matter. So if you can guess what happens in the second game, the colors matter. No, okay. And then you're going to build from there, where you open an envelope every 3 games, and you're going to add new stuff to the game. So I have to play through that more to see what I'm going to talk about.
How many scenarios are in the game?
There's 8 chapters of 24 games total, and then on the back side of the board, you can just play with people without a legacy element, and it's effectively, they say, about game 10. So you will need some components that you open up in those earlier envelopes in order to play that other game with other people, and then that has no legacy elements, and you can just repeat it and play it as often as you want. So
interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, most of my gaming has been just with my exchange student, Lisa, who, Thailand is the same situation as the U.S., so she's not going anywhere. She's just staying at her house and doing school from home. And other gaming is on BoardGames-online.net, which is Michael Schock's own website, where you can play lots of Michael Schock titles. And I looked. I haven't played there since 2012. That was the last time I played there.
Wow,
Now I've just started.
Does it
playing
look
there
different
again.
than you remember?
No, it is exactly the same as I remember in there.
Oh, wow.
It's yeah, China, Hansa, Colorado, Amazonas, all the lots of Michael Schock titles. There's like 20 different China maps because he made unique maps. Each month for a year, he was making a new map. And
that's really cool.
Some little variations or just layouts or some sort of twist on there. And it's super fun. I love his games, and now getting to dive into them again is great.
Did you see that Können was on Brett Spielwelt now? On the Brett Spielwelt
I did
online
not.
play?
Man, I haven't done BSW as well since probably 2012.
It's been a while for me too.
It's been a long time.
They still update games, but they still have, like, somebody recommended that we play Thurn and Taxis on game night, and I'm like, is that available? But it is available on BSW still, so, and that's a fantastic. I played that online 10 years ago, probably. It's definitely.
They have Hadara on there now too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric, what was that Michael Schock site again? Can you say that one more time?
Yes, let me just look at it, make sure I got it here. BoardGames-online.net.
Okay.
And he
Board
programmed
Games
these all
online.net.
himself. Yeah, this is all him programming his own games. There's no charge. I don't even see an option to throw money his way if he wants it. But
Interesting.
yeah, you can sign up. You can send invitations to particular people if you want to challenge them in a certain game or set up your game with all the player counts you want. I was playing with this one guy with Africana, which was a game that came out in 2012, and I played 60 or 70 times on there. And I played him. He has played more than 1,400 games with two players, and his win rate was 96%.
Wow.
So he is apparently incredibly good, and yet he doesn't get bored of it. And I played him, and I've lost now like 6 times against him, and I'm just like, I just have to beat him once. That's all I need to do.
It's
And
not
that's how he gets
happening.
his
96%
ranking even
run rate?
higher.
Yeah. Yeah. So clearly he's a master at it. He's the wizard. He's the savant.
That is
at
pretty
Africana.
masterful.
Yeah. So, Candace.
I
was going to throw it over
Jumping
you.
over to
Candace.
Scott, jump in.
Yeah.
Now we're jumping to
go ahead.
Scott.
I'm just still boggling at the 96% rate. I mean, like, trying to figure
Yeah,
it
that's
out.
amazing.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Candace, what
Yeah,
you
Not
been
a game of chance.
I've been trying to reduce the list on my shelf of shame, but
More opportunity.
it's not working out that well. But Matt and I have played. Let's see. I finally played Oh My Goods. We played Air, Land, and Sea, which I love, and that is now up there with one of my favorite 2-player games like Blitzkrieg and Watergate.
Wow.
But Air, Land, and Sea is a ton of fun. It kind of reminds me of Battle Line meets Hanamakoji. There's a lot of tension.
Really?
It's only 20 minutes, and
I like both of those games.
yeah, I would check it out. It's on Tabletop Simulator. I've also played it on Tabletop Simulator with a non-gamer friend on the East Coast that I was also playing on Board Game Arena with him, Jaipur. And then I've been playing a lot of Through the Ages on the app on my iPad with different friends, which gets confusing because I'll sometimes have multiple games going at once. I've also been playing the Twilight Struggle app, and I'm just trying to keep it all straight. But I would say the biggest thing most recently is I've gotten into Too Many Bones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, I had mentioned the Splice and Dice expansion for Too Many Bones, and I was just like, wow, this game sounds really awesome. So I found a copy of Too Many Bones Undertow from somebody on the BGG Marketplace who had like the Kickstarter bundle with an extra character, and I got it, and it's been on the table nonstop since I got it last Monday, and I'll just play a couple of turns when I can, learning the different characters. I love it, and I already have tomorrow. I'm excited because I'm getting the upgraded health chips are coming, and 2 more characters. So I've been playing it solo, but I also started playing with 2 characters, and I don't know. I'm finding it really exciting. Trying to think if there's anything else, but yeah, I've been playing Tabletop Simulator a bit. Lots of the crew on Tabletop Simulator. And we are safely social distancing with our neighbors and continuing our Clank Legacy
Nice.
game. Yeah, we just finished game 5 last weekend. So I'm still really, really enjoying it, even though I lost and was trapped underground last game. But yeah, I think, and then I'm also I've been playtesting a couple friends' games and a bigger game that's coming out, but I'll mention it in a post at some point in the near future.
You can tease
Okay.
it.
All right, I'll tease it. It's a thinky filler coming from Vital Lacerda.
Neat.
Thank you, filler.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, which very interesting, right?
So it's quick,
Not
a
what I would
quick playing.
expect. It's a quick playing thinky filler. The rules are super straightforward and easy, but yeah, I've enjoyed that one too.
Nice.
Yeah, that's about it on my end. Oh, I will mention one other cool thing. Last week was a good friend of mine's birthday, and her fiance wanted to do something special for her, so he coordinated a surprise birthday parade. So a bunch of us, like 12, 13 cars of us, drove over there, met at the bottom of the street. We had costumes and signs on our cars, and then we drove through and surprised her where they were having a picnic lunch on their front lawn. And it was just really awesome because it was like a good way to get out without,
Getting out.
while we're social distancing rules. But like we just drove around the block playing the same song, kind of dancing. And I thought it was a neat idea, so I just wanted to share in case anybody else wants to.
That's fantastic, actually. I never would have thought of that myself.
Yeah, it was great.
I get locked in a box, right? But that's totally awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. It sounds like we're all getting by.
What have you been doing,
at least
Derek?
from a gaming. Oh yeah, Derek.
Yeah.
Sorry, Derek.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to skip you.
No, it's fine. So I've obviously been trying to do some social distancing, but the excuse that I mentioned earlier for not getting so much gaming in is if you have young children, you're probably dealing with the headaches of trying to do distance learning with your kids, which has been challenging because it's like you sort of feel like you're tech support for the school on your end, trying to make sure everything works. So a lot of my time is going to that, but I've been trying to creatively find games that coincide with the lessons. So like one of the games I've been using a lot lately, which surprised even me, is Looney Labs Math Flux, which I should have grabbed it before I sat down to stream, but it's downstairs. So like we're trying to log like certain time for the kids doing activities that coincide with their lessons, and so I try to find that Looney Labs has a whole line of like educational flux games. And so, like, we're using the math one just because my kids are in kindergarten, so they don't need the anatomy or the chemistry one. But so that's kind of been a fun way to sort of like get a little bit of gaming in while doing this whole distance learning ordeal. And of course, I also over the Easter holiday, I was streaming over my personal Twitch channel games for my family, and so like we played Welcome to and Similo and things like that. And then I've also been trying to do some games in Tabletop Simulator with some friends. And I actually pulled the video down that was on my stream, but I basically set up an evening for us to have sort of a virtual game night on Tabletop Simulator. And I started streaming when we were supposed to get started. And basically everybody just like one after another just ended up saying, "Hey, I can't make it." So I ended up just like streaming a video of me just getting text saying, "Hey, I can't make it. Hey, I can't make it. Hey, I can't be there." So that was kind of a bummer because I've been very gaming starved. But our very own Chad Roberts was kind enough to sit down with me and play a game of Tiny Epic Galaxies, with me on Tabletop Simulator, which was a grand old time. And it's been, I mean, Tabletop Simulator, I know it's known for being quite clunky, but it's personally the one that I know the best for, like, online tabletop gaming, things like that. So
in my opinion, it is better than Tabletopia, which is just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, like Tabletopia, the only time I've ever used Tabletopia was to play. I tried a game of Santorini, and it looked cool, but yeah, I felt like this was many years ago, so it was I think it was still in beta, and it was in a very buggy state. But so yeah, that's just.
We witnessed
go ahead,
your
Lincoln.
skill at Tabletop Simulator last week when we were looking at Ankh. And you're the only one that was like digging through all the stuff. So you were on it. The rest of us were all like, what? But yeah, it was fantastic because you're pulling out all the cards and everything. And it's okay. I've been sneaking through. Is this okay if I've been doing it?
Derek was peeking through. Derek was peeking through their bags, their sacks.
Yes, yeah.
Which store all the items.
Well, yeah, I did ask Eric first. I was like,
Yeah, you did.
he told me that, like, no, anything that we don't want you to see is completely locked down. And I'm like, okay. So,
But yeah, he was pulling out more monsters and stuff like that. So it was great.
Yeah.
And I guess now we've got to that. Should we jump into the Kickstarter news, Scott? Did you want to go into
Was there
any of
anything else there, Derek? Did you want to mention, or are you done?
yeah, I think that was pretty much.
That's
the
it.
only fun
Yeah.
thing
So
I
Ankh.
wanted
Yeah.
to share.
So I've got a couple Kickstarter things. Lest you think that Kickstarter was harmed in any way during this, I will.
Nope.
I will throw out these two projects. I just looked at two. Ankh at $1.1 million raised, and a little game
In
called
2 days or a
Frosthaven
day?
at $7. Yeah, a day for Ankh, 1.1.
Yeah.
And Frosthaven, $7.583 million. So I know where everybody's spending their stimulus checks.
Yes. that they're just getting, yes.
Yeah. So that's good to hear. I mean, good for them. That's great. And we got to preview Ankh. And were you going to do a write-up on that, Candace, too? Or did that not make the cut? Okay.
Coming next
Do you want to
week.
talk about it actually real quick? Do you want to do a little quick summary of Ankh? Put you on the spot? Do you think you can summarize it? Or?
I'm coming at it from a fresh perspective because I've never played Blood Rage or Rising Sun before. And we sat down with Eric Lang and got a demo of it in Tabletopia and got to play a few rounds.
Tabletop Simulator.
Tabletop Simulator. And I'm not as flashy as Derek is with Tabletop Simulator, so I was even just kind of like a little nervous going into it. But it was all good. Everybody is playing a god, and there are these crazy miniatures, which I'm sure if anybody has seen the Kickstarter or just heard of this game, maybe seen it at Gen Con or somewhere, I think, Lincoln, you said
Yeah, they had.
you saw some of the minis.
Yeah.
But yeah,
to quote Eric Lang from that session, he said, "We have out-command ourselves."
Okay.
So,
yes.
as far as the minis go.
You're basically there's an area control element to it. That's the main thing. But you're building these different monuments on the board, and you're you're summoning warriors and trying to gain followers that you can sacrifice to get these Ankh powers. And ultimately, you're trying to have the most devotion, which is victory points at the end of the game. But it's really neat because there are, 4 or 5 different actions you take, and there's an action track for each of them. So every time someone takes an action, you bump a pawn on this track. And they're all, as everybody takes their turns, you're bumping these actions. You're taking, mostly you're taking 2 actions at a turn, unless you trigger an event, which is when you hit the end of these action pawn tracks. So then there's a whole event path that happens every time one of the action pawns hits the end of their track, an event gets triggered. So it's very deep and tense because you don't want to set someone else up for them to be able to trigger the event on their turn, because usually it's something great like building a monument, which is going to get you more points and help you with area control, more benefits. So you're trying to balance like, hey, I really need to do this action, but if I do this action, it's set up for the next player to trigger the event, and then they're going to get to build the monument. So it's like, oh, now I need to maybe do a different action. And then meanwhile, you're unlocking these Ankh powers, which have different levels and give you different special abilities. Each god has their own special power too. Then one of the events you can trigger is the conflict. So conflict is where you evaluate each different area of the board, and they're numbered, and it's kind of it's basically an area control thing, but you have cards. You have conflict like battle cards, and you simultaneously play them with whoever you're competing with in the area, and it could do all sorts of things. Like one of mine was like I started a plague or something.
Yeah, plague of locusts or something like that.
There are all these cards that could
just as bad as it sounds.
Yes, it's really horrible. Yeah. I think I was on the receiving end of that one.
It's the one like mean card you have in that game, right?
The
one mean card.
But the thing is, like, when you play these cards, when you play these cards, they're spent, and the only way that you get them back is by playing a particular card.
Yep, to pick them all back up.
Yeah, and then one of the events is like right, and one of the events is like a camel phase where you could put a path of camels out that basically create a separates one of the areas. So now you're changing the area control. And then you also are able to renumber them, which is the order in which they resolve. So that was really neat. And then the other thing I'll mention is there is a special conflict event that happens later down the line where the two players who are in the last position on the devotion track form a super god together. Their gods merge, and they end up playing cooperatively the rest of the game as this
with each other's powers. They each have that set of power. Yeah. So the two weakest ones become a super god, which is really exciting. That's the part That was the part I was the most, and of course, this is when we're done. He's like, okay, and then here's what can happen. I'm like, what? This is amazing. But it was awesome. You think your skills are bad, though, on Tabletop Simulator. Eric actually played for me because I don't even have Tabletop Simulators, so you're way ahead of me.
Yeah, and Eric Martin really made an appearance, too. Remember when Eric came in, Eric Martin came in? Do you remember when he made an appearance?
I don't.
Joke.
In Oz?
Okay.
There was a weird confusion where I know, where's the crickets? It was kind of we spent a good 5 minutes on it trying to explain what happened. But I said, "Do you want to say hi to Eric?" And I was talking to Michelle, who was standing here.
Oh.
And Eric Martin goes, "Oh, hey Eric, how's it going?"
Eric
and I'm
Lang
like,
said, "Yeah,
no,
that's right. I remember that."
Wait, he goes, "Is W. Eric Martin here?" And I'm like, "Is he here?" I didn't, and it confused everybody. And I was like, "What is going on?"
And it confused everybody again. This is what's great.
Even trying to recount the story. Miscommunication everywhere.
Sorry, crickets. Experimental comedy, everybody.
Ninja power is the way.
Yeah, I don't know the cricket sound effect, but Lincoln can have the joke be carried off by an eagle.
Yep.
That's right. I'm not here today either. I'm actually Rodney. Yeah.
I thought you were virtual.
Yes. So, Kickstarter. Anybody else got any Kickstarters? You've been looking at Kickstarter stuff at all?
I mean, one that I'm more excited about, more my speed, is Planet Unknown, which is a polyomino tile laying game.
Oh yeah.
So that's totally one I'm like very excited for. It looks amazing. There's an awesome Lazy Susan, and you're drafting these tiles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's totally what I like.
But it seems like business as usual for Kickstarters.
Sort of.
Yeah.
There's been a number of campaigns that have been canceled or delayed. People pushing things off later in the year. But then, yes, the people who are going ahead with it, it seems like they're doing, I mean, just, again, anecdotally, what you hear is people are doing roughly what they thought they would do, or possibly a little less. So I don't know if it's just people feeling like, sure, these games are coming out at the beginning of 2021. Everything will be awesome. No shipping delays. Everything will be super then, and we'll just go for it. Maybe that'll happen too. Yeah.
I kind of feel like even if the outbreak was going to seriously affect Kickstarter business, I feel like that's such a big machine that it would take months for it to actually see it slow down, right?
Possibly. I mean, again, if you're shipping in Q1 2021, who knows? Because everything else is just going to be happening behind the scenes, and you're sending digital files to your artist or doing whatever, and all that's just, it doesn't matter that you can't meet with people, assuming the game's all done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, since we are streaming live, the Board Game Geek Show, we can open it up for questions in the stream. I know we have quite a few people here, a lot of regulars. I see Barb, I see Rainer, I see Slivers, Dutch Yoda, Wookie Mart. There's a lot of talking going on, actually. I'm not sure I'm following any of it.
While the stream is populating with questions, I'm just going to, because I forgot when I brought myself up, I forgot to bring up my lower third so you can see my Twitter handle.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
So the one mistake I made, it's like I nailed every other cue except that one. So I'll just take that opportunity to say, hey.
There was actually a good suggestion from Slivers in the chat. I'll talk to you about it later. So...
Cool.
So if we're waiting for those, I'll just mention the game news has been relatively light, which would be expected because many people are not announcing things at the moment since they don't know what's going on when. But that has given me time to catch up on all these other things that I still have open. I was online with our programmer Dan earlier today for a small issue, and he was just like, "Why do you have so many tabs open?" And that's just all like news things that I have yet to get to, that are just waiting to be written about. So those are coming in the future. So one thing I did get to, Bruno Cathala did a long write-up of what he has coming out in 2020 and what he's working on for 2021 and just in general. And one of the most exciting things was a new version of Shadows over Camelot, which originally came out in 2005, which has been off the market for a while because Days of Wonder has let it go out of print, because Cathala and his co-designer Serge Laguette wanted to redesign it, figuring that game technology, game design has been updated over the past 15 years, and we can do this better because sometimes people would play the game and they just get stranded in a certain area and couldn't do anything, and there's all sorts of issues going on. So they moved the action to the late 1800s in Brooklyn, and right now they're calling it Shadows over Brooklyn, where you were kind of these magicians of sorts, consorting, your descendants of the Knights of Camelot, who are now trying to protect the Grail from various bad guys like Frankenstein's monster and other people around that time, the late 1800s. The tricky part, though, is they're still under contract with Days of Wonder. And as Cathala said, Days of Wonder does not want an 1800s steampunk-style game. That is not what Days of Wonder releases. So they don't know whether Days of Wonder will just end up reprinting Shadows over Camelot.
Well, they did Mystery Train was sort of 1800s, wasn't it?
Ticket to Ride was an early, theme.
Yeah, but
I mean, I know what you're saying, though. They don't want...
They're not going... They're not going heavy steampunk. Like Ticket to Ride, you can blink and you will not realize that you're, in 1900s doing this, whatever. Mystery Train, of course.
When you play the app, you get reminded of it all the time with the music.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and the train, yeah.
Now boarding.
Mystery Train did not stay on the market very long, as I recall. So that might be an issue as well. So they're not sure whether Days of Wonder will end up reprinting Shadows over Camelot, will release them from the contract, and they will find a new publisher for this new game, or maybe both will happen if Days of Wonder gives them permission to license this new thing that's kind of on its own now, kind of its own thing, even though it has the Shadows over Camelot DNA. I don't know, it's just cool because I've seen lots of people asking for that game, which has been off the market, and here's a tease of what's coming a year or two, maybe? Who knows?
Well, he said that they felt that the mechanisms had gotten kind of tired and old, which I mean, I have always liked that game, so I don't know if I haven't played it for a while, so maybe it would be different if I actually had played it. But I always thought it was.
But you
neat.
can get stranded. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've ever had that, where someone just gets locked and they can't do anything, and you're just like, well, this stinks. Why am I doing this? And I remember I taught a whole bunch of people this game when I was moving to New Hampshire, and the one guy who I found out years later hated deception and trickery and whatnot. He was the traitor. And he just felt completely lost because he couldn't ask any questions about anything. And he was just hated the whole
Like,
experience.
how do I
and
kill you? How do I destroy
terrible.
you?
Yeah, it was just very awkward. Maybe I've learned how to teach games
All
better
right.
since then too.
You have a few more minutes to ask us questions. I saw one question from Slivers.
Well-
Let's see if it says.
I have a shout out to Rainer because Rainer
Yeah.
was kind enough to teach me Tekenu, the new like Teotihuacan next in the series kind of T games, and that was on Tabletopia, and it was amazing. So Rainer's been out there showing off for board and dice games, and so that's exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Since
Big shout out to
Rainer's
Rainer.
Oh yeah, and
also hold up
Traintopia.
table-
I got to try
Right
that
now?
too. Yeah.
Right now, Traintopia
Yeah.
is doing an awesome job of holding my laptop higher. So you're
All
not
right.
looking at my
I
notes.
see that. I see
You
it's
bring
like
it over.
precarious.
We're gonna talk about
I
it.
probably need something like that.
So shout out to
I have
Rainer
not
for
played
that
that.
assist too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, and he's helped
Traintopia
us-
was really
he's-
great.
He's like the
course.
Santa Claus of the board game world. But here's the real question: have any of you seen Sunken Dungeon and/or Kodama Forest?
I mean,
Do you guys know those games?
I mean, I know of them.
I mean, I've heard of
I know
Kodama
of Kodama
Forest. It's on
Forest.
Kickstarter, I thought. That's all I know.
yeah, but
That's all we know.
Yeah, we're sad.
We're not on the cutting edge that closely, but would be nice. Give me a question, everybody. Something, or we're just gonna go, or we could just go. All right, 2 minutes for questions, and then we're done. Okay, how do you think? Shrey P says, how do you think this situation will impact the game designs coming out in 2021 and 22? More two-player games, games with fewer bits, games that can be played with copies in different locations. Does anybody have any thoughts?
I think you're going to honestly see more of those two. I mean, obviously, lots of print and play has been coming out. The Super Skill Pinball 4K that we played was one that they decided to release early because they were having such positive response. And they're hoping to get the game out earlier, but they don't know with the situation, coming situation for the cons because they need to have time to expose the game as well. But and then Jamie Stegmeyer put out his online, I mean not online,
Print
but
play.
downloadable.
with
and I think
unlimited
that's-
players.
Yeah, which is fantastic. I mean, that's been one of the best element. You know, being able to play with other folks very easily. The issue, of course, is having a printer if you need to print those. But Derek was saying he opened the PDFs in his iBooks and then was able to actually write on the
Draws on them.
Yeah, so that worked. He did. Even though Scott checked his
Yeah,
work
in
a bunch of
fact,
times.
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I actually played a game of Cartographers over stream, and here's what it looks like. So I just download the PDF straight off of Thunderworks website, and then just use the stylus to color it in, just in notes.
Nice.
So
Does your stylus have a name?
it's an Apple Pencil, so we agreed it was going to be Sean Pencil. Remember?
Oh, it wasn't gonna be. It
Sean
wasn't gonna be
Penn?
a Fiona Apple Pen, because this one is Billy Ray stylus, and then I have Miley stylus over there.
Yeah, Miley Stylus and Billy Ray. Yeah.
I know it's you guys. Come on, we've been doing 5 hours of streaming. I've got the dumbest jokes possible, but it's been fun.
Copenhagen Cool says, what are your thoughts on the impact? Oh, I actually wanted to add something about the coronavirus's impact on board game design. I think it's going to be like World War II, post-World War II. There's going to be a lot of games coming out. There's people, because what else are you going to do?
Right.
Post-World War II was depression for Germany, which some people attribute to the board game growth. I don't know if that's true.
Oh, really?
But it sounds like a good theory. Well, Germany was in a big depression after World War II.
Sure.
So not much to do, and families of sizes of 4. Now we have a new problem, which is global, and affects people in different ways. So maybe we'll see a bunch more. Maybe the next Catan will come out that you can play
They need
online.
to figure out how we can easily clean them. No, I'm.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot more of the blank and right stuff, like roll and rights, flip and rights, because it's like that stuff you can those are the easiest games to play over video chat.
Sure.
You know?
yeah.
They also have a
there was
low
another
price
question.
point for when they actually do go on the market.
Yeah.
That's been sort of the appeal for a lot of those. Is you
I'm
pick them
sure
up
that
and
super
can-
skill pinball won't be cheap, though. You saw that at Gamma, didn't you? That was beautiful. They were the very bright boards, and I think they have 2 boards on each
Yes.
side, and then they have the translator. I call them translate. What did he call them? The back, I don't know, back glass that you put information on and stuff. I'm very
panel?
back. I don't know, but it was awesome,
Some backplane. Yeah.
and they looks great. The colors are gorgeous.
Unless I'm mistaken, there was thoughts on the impact of board game cafes and shops, but I mean, it's like they're hit hard right now, right?
Yeah,
especially the cafes, where maybe most of their money was made on food and alcohol, which that went away. And who knows when that's coming back? So I think that's a big impact. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody else.
Yeah, like
who
I know
knows-
my
who
local
knows the
game store,
business.
they're basically doing curbside orders, and they have like a 4-hour window every day where they'll take orders by phone or email, and then you can arrange to come and pick up stuff. That's
Nice.
that's what my local game store is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's from Cope and King and Cool, whose local big game store is the Bastard Cafe, which is awesome, and it's closed, so that sucks. There was another question in here. Where did I lost it? Oh, what's the first game you want to play when we get back face to face? I want to play Clank Legacy. I got to finish.
Yeah,
Clank
me
Legacy.
too.
I was going to say the same thing. I almost bought that before this went down, and now I'm kind of glad I didn't, because
The beginning of our actual Tuesdays and Thursdays live stream was going to be us playing Clank Legacy, continuing that with Deborah, because Dave is in San Francisco. We're going to continue with Dave, Deborah, and Aaron. But once, we weren't actually, I think we started, we actually went, the shutdown was on Wednesday, I think, the 19th, or maybe that was Thursday. And that was the day that I think we were going to have people come up. And we just, we realized it was not a good idea. And thankfully, everybody was basically, that social distancing stuff started. And, it's what it is, but we've been having fun figuring out how to work around that anyway.
Anybody else got a game they're itching to play?
I was going to say the crew, but maybe I should just get on Tabletop Simulator.
I know. That's
I
the
can
other.
play
We've been
games
actually
with
wanting
them.
to play that too.
Yeah, we should do that. I want to play it
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
My local group doesn't really like it.
Oh.
What
They're
the
terrible.
hell?
Yeah.
They're
Everybody
the
loves.
worst.
I mean,
well, if we want to do it, I don't have to play. I can just run the stuff for you guys, because I know a guy that's really good with Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah. No.
So-
Derek is a master. You should do a how-to video, Derek. Honestly, we should try to make that happen.
I
That
could,
would be
but
awesome.
to be honest, Berserk games themselves, they have a great tutorial. That's really where all my knowledge came from. Is just watching their tutorials.
Okay.
The only thing in Tabletop
Okay.
Simulator I'm not well versed with is the Lewis scripting, because I'm not really a programmer. Lewis scripting and the 3D modeling. If you're into 3D printing, oh my gosh, you'll love Tabletop Simulator, because you can basically make your minis in Tabletop Simulator. But
Neat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's
All
it.
right. Well,
Yeah.
we'll play Deep Crew sometime.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you to my lovely co-hosts. Yet again, I'm glad we got together. This is only my second BGG show of the year, I think. Right?
Yes.
Third? Second.
Wow.
yeah, it's been.
I know, we've been a
been
little
lot of
behind,
transition.
so-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well-
Thank you, Lincoln. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Candace. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Eric. And I'm Aldi.
Who's here?
We'll
Thank
see you
you,
next
Aldi.
time. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Take care, everybody. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.